Welcome back to the Ed Show. 6 days after President Obama announced a major policy change affecting the lives of nearly 800,000 young people, Mitt Romney still has no answers when it comes to immigration. Today, Romney spoke to a convention of Latino elected officials in Florida, offering few specifics on how he would deal with the more than 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States if elected president. As to whether he would overturn President Obama's executive action, Romney again sidestepped the issue altogether.
Some people have asked if I will let stand the president's executive order. The answer is that I will put in place my own long-term solution that will replace and supersede the president's temporary measure.
And while the president's plan applies to a broad spectrum of young people brought to the United States as children, Romney's proposal offers a path to legal status only to those who serve in the military. Green cards would be given to those who earn advanced degrees here in the United States. The one thing Romney did offer the Hispanic audience was a different tone. Here's what Romney told a Republican audience at a debate back in January.
Well, the answer is self-deportation, which is people decide that they can do better by going home because they can't find work here.
Yet today, Romney changed his tune again.
I'm going to address the problem of illegal immigration in a civil and resolute manner. We may not always agree, but when I make a promise to you, I will keep it.
Let's turn to Chuck Rocha, Executive Director of the American Worker Latino Project. Chuck, good to see you again. Good to have you with us tonight.
With you,
brother. What does Romney's position on immigration say about his ability to lead? I mean, I have to say, after watching the speech today, there's no definition there today than there was yesterday. No more definition.
The biggest thing he said today, and his biggest truth today, was when he said we don't agree. Mitt Romney literally went to this convention in a room full of elected Latino leaders and talked about electric fences and self-deportation, and actually had the gall to say that he would rescind the order that President Obama said. Now, President Obama had to do that because the Congress wouldn't act, because there were over 800,000 children who have only pledged allegiance to one flag in their lifetime so they wouldn't be deported. And the man who wants to be the president, who is a millionaire, who has got people to lose their jobs, gets before Latino leaders and goes, why don't y'all get me? Why don't you understand where I'm coming from? And then he says, you can believe me? When you talk about electric fences and talk about self-deportation, there's no wonder why you're 35 points behind with the Latino vote.
Well, it sounds like you really believe that he didn't do anything to improve his standing with Hispanics today. He had a golden opportunity to do it. But it seems to me that Romney really agrees with the president, but President Obama is so toxic to the right wing and to any Republican right now that he just can't bring himself to saying it. What do you think?
You could tell by his tone today he really wanted to be the nice guy, I know what it's like, but there's just something holding me back. Oh, maybe it's the Tea Party, maybe it's the conservative right, that if I say the wrong thing, I cut off my funding and I cut off all hopes of being president. What President Barack Obama did was very smart. It wasn't political because these 800,000 people can't cast the first vote for him, but what it did was mobilize and energize people like me, who's Latino, who's registered to vote, who was born here, who was like, you know, that's the right thing to do. As Americans, we came here, people came here with an idea to kind of honor our values and we were all supposed to be equal, all equal under the law. Yeah. And so it puts him in a bad place.
Here's what one former McCain advisor told the New York Times. If a candidate has the wrong tone and the wrong rhetoric on immigration, Hispanics won't listen to any of his proposals on anything else. Does this shut the door? His performance today shut the door all the way to November for him with the Latino vote?
As you know, Ed, I run the Latino Project, and the top three issues that we find with Latino voters are jobs, education, and immigration. And today in his speech, his jobs proposal was more trade agreements. You know, Ed, that my plant in East Texas shut down and that tire production went overseas. When I hear that, more trade agreements, that says my job is leaving. And on education, he said, we need a choice when it comes to education. When I hear that, I know and you know, that means schools for profit, privatizing schools, no public education. So he said all the wrong things today, and I think he's got a lot of ways to go.
Well, President Obama is going to speak to this very same group of Latino leaders tomorrow. How's he going to be received? What does he need to say, if anything, at this point?
I think that he hasn't fixed the problem totally, but he made a step in the right direction, and he's let these people understand, these people, Latinos, from all different types of Latinos, whether you're a Cubano from Cuba or a Texas Mexican like I am, I understand what it's like to be here, and I have trying to give you something so you won't be deported. All of these dreamers have had collective action to say, let my voice be heard, and at least he stood up and said, your voice is being heard, and if the Congress won't act, by God, I will act.
Chuck Rocha, certainly one of the best Latino voices and advocates in the country. Good to have you with us tonight on The Ed Show.
Thank you, Ed.
Coming up, the politics of failure. Find out why Romney is supposedly telling Rick Scott, will you please shut up on this economy thing down there in Florida? And Republicans are busy going after Eric Holder while student loan rates are set to double in just 10 days. The president is calling them out. Stay tuned.